Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, the Celtic podcast. On today's show in Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig, we will continue a 25-week beginner's Gaelic course with lesson number 4. We will talk about who were the Picts in our Celtic history segment, and I'll tell you another Welsh story about... I'm sorry, that's not a Welsh story, that's an English story about the prisoner's table in everyday Celtic ways. Now, throughout the program, we're going to hear music from the Selkie Girls, Monran, Gillibride and Macmillan, and 2 from the Corries. And as always, it's a wee bit of Irish trivia to test your knowledge to start us off. Phoenix Park is just outside of Dublin. In what year did the Phoenix Park murders take place? Alright. Check out the Olde Scot Facebook group where you can make suggestions, get feedback, post your own memes and information, and be a part of the whole Celtic culture. Feuchamaich, let's get started. Enjoy.
Good evening, welcome to the show.
You know, one of the reasons why we were a little bit late in starting tonight is that on the way down here, we got caught behind a Sunday driver. Don't know if you've had that experience. You know, you come round the bend in the road, there's the wee Morris Minor, and the wee white head, and the hands up at the steering wheel. So we're going to sing about a Sunday driver in a rather crowded car. Okay, number 1?
Yeah, smash it.
Good. Well, I've been a Sunday driver new for many's a happy year, and I've never had my Morris Minor out to second gear. I can drive at 15 miles an hour on motorway or track, with me wife up front beside me and her mother in the back.
There was me and my daddy's mommy and her sister's granny and 4 of her chums and Auntie Jean.
In a crowd of 50 trippers you can always pick me out, but don't blame me, I voted Tory, sticker on the boot. With my bunch of heather sticking in my radiator grill, and my stick-on transfer bullet holes and license for to kill.
There was me and my daddy's mommy and her sister's granny and 4 of her chums and Auntie Peg.
I've 100 plastic pennants for to tell you where I've been, and my steering wheel is clad in simulated leopard skin. Up front for the driving mirror hangs a plastic skeleton, and in the back a dog with eyes that flicker off and on.
There's me and my daddy's mommy and her sister's granny and 4 of her chums and Auntie May.
Always drive as though my foot was resting on the brake, and I weave about the road just so's you can't overtake. I can get you safe frustrated that you'll finish up in tears, and the sound of blaring motor horns is music to my ears.
There's me and my daddy's mommy and her sister's granny and 4 of her chums and Auntie Liz.
Who's Liz?
She comes next.
Now if you wonder how these weekly trips I can afford, it's because I'm on a stipend from the Scottish Tourist Board. You're supposed to enjoy the scenery, the finest of its kind, and that is why I have a convoy following behind.
There's me and my daddy's mommy and her sister's granny and 4 of her chums and Auntie Rose.
There's just no way of escaping me, no matter how you seek, for the simple facts that I'm a traffic warden through the week. I'm boosting my efficiency, and here's my master plan. I'm saving up my pennies for to buy a caravan.
There's me and my daddy's mommy and her sister's granny and 4 of her chums and Auntie Gertrude. There's me and my daddy's mommy and her sister's granny and 4 of her chums. You're going too fast!
Hey. I've forgotten my drum.
Back a minute.
Actually, he hasn't been feeling himself all week. What is he? I'll get him back. I will go, when the fighting is over to the land of my Well, where were you?
That's my bloody song.
All right, that was Sunday Driver by the Coreys. And now, Ha and Tom and Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig. It's time for Let's Try a Little Gaelic. Now, I do not represent myself as an authority on the Gaelic language, only someone who loves learning it and wants to help others. What I teach comes right from the textbooks of well-respected Gaelic teachers, and I hope you find it interesting, informative, and fun. Today, we will keep a part of that 25-part Gaelic lesson, and I think we're in lesson 4 today. But as always, I'll display on the screen what I am discussing. All right, let's get busy. Nouns and the definite article. Now in English, there is an indefinite article and a definite article. For example, the term a cat means some unspecific cat, while the term the cat means a specific cat. In Gaelic, the definite article is part of the noun. So the following is what you'll see. Ha cat snock. A cat is nice, which is not specific. And ha in cat snock. The cat is nice. Now that's specific. Alright, so that gives you the difference between indefinite and definite article. The definite article is a little more complicated than that. The easiest part to understand is the plural definite article. When the noun is plural, the definite article is always na. It doesn't change for any reason. Note, when the definite article is present, plural nouns beginning with a vowel take an H in front. For example, Nagilin, the boys, or Na Fulin, the apples. The singular definite article is the most complex part of the definite article. This is because two factors come into play: gender and initial letter. Use the following system to determine the form. Note, we will discuss gender more in depth in a later lesson. Just know that Gaelic has gender. We got male and female words. And things work. Yes, nouns in Gaelic have gender, meaning that they're either masculine or feminine. English nouns have no gender, which may cause a bit of confusion and difficulty when beginning to learn Gaelic. Try thinking of gender as putting words into grammatical categories that have certain ways in certain circumstances. You cannot always assume that gender of a word relates to the gender representing that word. For example, Bornach, which means woman, is a male word. It's a masculine word. So, luckily, occurrences like this aren't very common. But for the time being, just know that the following about gender: that it exists in Gaelic, that it can vary between dialects. The Gaelic has two genders, masculine and feminine. And it changes how words behave in certain instances. And of course, as you progress through your learning, more will be explained on gender. All right. Now I'll have a little chart here to show you the singular definite article and all the different ways it works. It's like I said, that's the most complex part of all this. So I have a little chart I'll post up, and you guys can take a look at that. All right. Vocabulary. All right. Got nouns: ku, which is dog; cat, which is cat; bornach, which is woman; boxa, which is box; isk, fish; klarsach, which is harp; and skian, which is knife. Now we got these same vocabulary words, but with the definite article. and Q, the dog, which is a masculine word, and cat, the cat, which is a masculine word as well, and Bornach, which is a masculine word, means the woman. And notice it's am instead of an. That happens when you got BF, M, my big fat pig. There's an acronym you use to remember which one to put the am on. It's called my big fat pig. And it's the M, B, F, P. All right. Thank you, Muriel Fisher, for teaching me that. It's been stuck in my head for years. Okay. Amboxa with the B. It's a masculine word as well. It means the box. And chisk, the fish, is a masculine word. It's on its own. A harsik, the harp, is a feminine word. And a skian, the knife, which is a feminine word as well. Now, move down to plural nouns. Nachoin, the dogs. Nachat, the cats. Nabornach, the women. Naboxikin, the boxes. Nahesk, the fish. Naklarsikin, the harps. Naskianin, the knives. All right. See the difference between the indefinite, definite, and the plural nouns? Okay. Well, if you need to, get on the internet and research that a little bit more, kind of get a good grasp on that. It helps you when you're reading, because the way the words are worded change a little bit, and sometimes it might throw you out. So if you get a good grasp on this, it'll make it easier when you're reading Gaelic sentences. All right. I got a few sentences to translate into English. Number 1, Hanachoin Snuk. Number 2, Avail and Cat More. 3, Cheniel Acharsik Beck. 4, Hanahesk Ma. 5, Cheniel Ku Snuk. And 6, Nachel Nachetch Gleva. All right. That's it for Feuchamaich Beagan Gaidhlig. Hope you liked it.
It must be obvious to a lot of you know that our great Celtic heritage has been robbed over the years of a lot of its tunes by other countries less well endowed than ourselves. By that I mean that other countries have taken our tunes, put their own words to them, and claimed the lot. America in particular, in fact, has been one of the main perpetrators of this kind of nonsense. So tonight we'd like to kind of redress the balance and bring back to this country one of the old tunes that went overseas, and we'd like to sing the traditional Scottish words to the old tune. We were very lucky to get these words from Mr. Bill Hill, who himself is a fund of knowledge on folklore, so our thanks is to him. A man came riding out the west one wild and stormy day. He was quiet, lean and hungry, his eyes were smoky grey. He was lean across the herdies, but his shoulders they were big, the terror o' the Hieland glens. That was a Portree kid. He drum ho, he drum hey. The chuchtar that come frae Skye. His sidekick was an orra man, and oh, but he was mean. He was called the Midnight Ploughboy, and he come frae Aberdeen. He had 27 notches on his cromach, so they say, and he killed 1,000,000 Indians way up in Stornoway. Portree put it in the door, he sauntered to the bar. He poured a shot of crabbies, he shouted Slangevar. while midnight was being chatted up by a barroom girl called Pam, who said, well, howdy, stranger, would you buy us a baby sham? Now over in the corner sat three men frae Achtertool. They were playing games for money in a snakes and ladders school. The fourth man was a southerner who'd come up from McMurray. He'd been a river gambler on the Ballahoolish ferry. He'd rum ho, he'd rum hey, the chuktar that come frae Skye. Portree walked to the table and he shouted, shake me in. He shuggled on the egg cup, he gave the dice a spin. He threw 7 sixes in a row and the game was nearly done. But then he landed on a snake and finished on square one. The game was nearly over and Portree was daying fine. He'd landed on a ladder, he was up to 49. He only had but one to go and the other man was beat. But the gambler cowed the board on and shouted, you're a cheat. Men dive behind the rubber plants to try and save their skins. The accordionist stopped playing, his sidekick dropped the spoons. He said, I think it's funny you've been up that ladder twice and you always done the table when I go to throw my dice. He'd rum ho, he'd rum hey. The chukta that come frae Skye. You okay?
Fine now.
The gambler drew his ski and do as fast as lightning speed. Portree grabbed a screw top, he cracked him o'er the heat. Then he gave him laldy wi' a salmon off the wall, and he finished off the business wi' his lucky grousefoot's claw. Portree walked up to the bar, he says, I'll hae a half. And you like the way I stuck it on that wee McMurray naff? But a southerner crept up behind, his features racked with pain, and he gubbed him wi' an ashtray made out of curl and stain. The fight went raging on all night till opening time next day. A break for soup and stovies off a coronation tray. It was getting kind obvious that neither man would win when came the shout that stopped it all. There's a bus trip coming in. He'd rum ho, he'd rum hey. The chukta that come frae Skye. They sing this song in Galashiels and up by Peterhead, way down o'er the border, across the Rio Tweed, about what became of Portree, Midnight and the gambling man. They opened up a gift shop, selling fresh air in a can. He'd rum ho, he'd rum hey. The chukta that come frae Skye, frae Skye, frae Skye, frae Skye.
All right, that was The Portree Kid by the Corries. It's kind of a humorous little song there. Now today on Celtic History Break, the topic is who were the Picts? Who was this tribe who held out in the north of Scotland? Alright, the Picts were a group of wild savages who infamously fought off the Rome's toughest legions before disappearing from history. Now that is what is conventionally thought anyway. In reality, this collection of tribes of early people lived in what is today eastern and northern Scotland during the late Iron Age and early medieval periods from around 270 AD to 900 AD. Now the Picts eventually formed a tribal confederation whose political motivations derived from a need to ally against common enemies such as the Britons or the Romans. The Roman name for the people, Picti, means painted people, and this is how we come to know them as Picts. It's not known what they were actually calling themselves. Now, Mel Gibson's blue face paint in Braveheart is a kind of a nod to this Pictish tradition of body paint. But the real Picts were famous among their enemies for fighting stark naked. And there are records of them doing so up until about the 5th century. The tradition of fighting naked, especially in the cold Scottish climate, didn't harm the tribe's reputation for ferocity. And that was probably the point of the whole naked exercise anyway. Picts held the territory north of the Firth of Forth in Scotland, and were one of the reasons even heavily armored Roman legions could not conquer Scotland. And believe me, they tried. If they could have walked in and just taken the place, they would have done it. So don't buy into the false narrative that the Romans stopped because they didn't want to go any further. A reason grounded in fact is that Rome would not give the Roman commanders the troops that they needed to accomplish such a monumental feat, since the Romans had already determined that the Picts were a formidable foe. Now still, another reason grounded in fact is that the North didn't offer any real resources that they either didn't already have or could get from their neighbors in Hibernia, which was Ireland, who had come to become a great and trusted trading partner with the Romans. Now the Picts mysteriously disappeared from the written record around 900 AD. And experts suggest that they likely merged with southern Scots who already had a written history by that time. And the two clans' histories combined, helped them assimilate into what is today modern-day Scotland. Kenneth MacAlpin, who had become king of the Scots in 853, and would have wanted to either defeat the Picts or make some sort of peace with them. So he did one or the other. And we didn't hear about no great battle, so it was more than likely he made peace with them. Over the 100 years since the Romans had left, the Picts may have become a lesser version of themselves too. Civilizations tend to do that. People get more civilized as things go on, and they were probably willing accomplices to their own assimilation, seeing a truce and peace with the Scots as beneficial to their continued existence. Now, after all, they had no real allegiance to a country or anything, or the land, or a king. So, however, human instinct, though, would have them assimilate in order to better their lives. The truth is that we really don't know what happened to the Picts, though, which is probably the best thing, because we can invent all kinds of scenarios and stories of their doom and the absence of the truth, which makes for better movies and stories anyway, coming out of Hollywood. Alright, that's it for the Celtic History Break. I hope you liked it. right, that was Fingal's Cave by Monran. Now it's time for Everyday Celtic Ways. Today we're going to talk about the Prisoner's Table. Now, the Prisoner's Table was made around circa 1861 by an unknown maker, reputedly an inmate of the Dublin debtors' prison, commissioned by the warden as a gift for Queen Victoria. Now, the prisoner was supposed to receive time off of his sentence for doing such elaborate, detailed, and incredible woodworking, which he was famous for. Yet, when the Queen laid her eyes upon the table, she fell in love with the workmanship, so much so that she had the prisoner make several more of these tables. Now, that work that it takes to do such intricate woodworking is very time-consuming, and when he had completed what the Queen had asked or requested, he had served more than twice his original sentence. He did enjoy a lucrative business after his release, though, but he was never to reveal he had ever been a prisoner for risk of shaming the Queen. One of the tables he built is on display in part of Dublin Castle and has been a part of the collection since 1908. The table is made from over 18 different types of woods, and it's held together with very little nails or glue. The table has been examined by modern carpenters, and some of the techniques used are a mystery to them. They had it roped off when we visited Dublin Castle, but you could get close enough that you could see that the work that went into this table was just incredible. Now, I'll have some pictures posted so you can take a look at it, but if you ever get to Dublin, go to Dublin Castle and see this table on the tour. It's well worth it. And the story's kind of cool, too. All right. That's it for Everyday Celtic Ways.
Miski no Aniel tu la takal Perlam hina vis nuoi na pusel voi afi kamnise Sket ha miski no Ounsen cheese and duan mi marach Bi mi shock gebracht dit hugem bischen kol An chige jawi Bergen torscht mi du de grai Makach gader ein sin koller Ach get nach eich mit ach mai Ber mi gut kjau nach tjanu makal Sket ha miski noch gegrai Skanu hena fanje pakal Bin ich nicht gebracht ne krag ach keine Wahn an Naumen wacken
All right. And that was Hamiskia Noch Agrai by Gillibride Macmillan. Little known fact here is Gillibride Macmillan, he plays the part of the Bard in the Outlander series. And you can see him in the first season. He plays a little part where he sings for the Laird of Castle Leoch. Alright, well that's it for today's show. I hope you liked it. I'm trying to keep it interesting, informative, and fun while showing you the beauty of all things Celtic. I would like to thank everyone for all the support and kind words, likes, and new subscribers. Tapalev Akerlichen. Thank you, my friends. Now, before I let you go, that trivia question. In what year did the Phoenix Park murders take place in Dublin? And that is 1882. Wow. Remember to check out my YouTube channel, Ye Olde Scot, and Learn Gaelic song videos and the Celtic podcast are all archived there. All the speaking our language videos are archived there, and I've got plenty more. Also check out my Facebook group, Ye Olde Scot. Join it. There you can give me your insights, your input. You can post memes, be a part of the whole process. All right, Martian Leave and Drozda. Bye for now. I'm going to let you go with a song now, and it's Toss the Feathers by the Selkie Girls.